All your marriage ended for the same reason, that you never said who you really were.
Right. If I say that, he's going to leave me.
At 85 years old, Ali MacGraw is finally breaking her silence. For decades, the world believed her marriage to Steve McQueen was a Hollywood fairy tale, the rebel superstar and America's sweetheart. But behind the scenes, it was a nightmare. Jealousy, control, sacrifice, and heartbreak turned their love story into years of pain she has only recently begun to reveal. In this video, we uncover the truth Ali has carried for a lifetime and why her story still shocks fans today. A childhood written in shadows. Ali MacGraw was born in 1939 in Bedford Village, New York, a town that looked peaceful on the outside, but held turmoil inside her home. Her father battled alcoholism, her parents fought constantly, and chaos became the backdrop of her childhood. She later admitted she never felt good enough, a weight she carried into every stage of her life. But even in the midst of dysfunction, Ali had a quiet determination to rise above it. Her escape came through modeling. For her, it wasn't just a career, it was survival. When Vogue editor Diana Vreeland discovered her, Ali's life changed. Vreeland saw what others missed, a rare mix of fragility and strength that cameras loved. Through fashion, Ali began shedding the scars of her past and stepping into the spotlight. And soon, that spotlight would lead her far beyond the runway, straight into Hollywood, where fate had even bigger plans. Meteoric rise in Hollywood. Ali MacGraw's leap from fashion to film was swift. In 1969, she starred in Goodbye Columbus, and her natural charm and vulnerability instantly won over audiences and critics. Practically overnight, Hollywood had a new star to watch. That same year, she met Robert Evans, Paramount's powerful head of production. Evans recognized her potential immediately and made a bold choice, casting her in Love Story 1970. The film became a cultural phenomenon. Her chemistry with Ryan O'Neal, paired with its famous line, "Love means never having to say you're sorry,"
Love means never having to say you're sorry,
turned the movie into a global sensation, grossing over $100 million. Ali went from newcomer to household name almost instantly. Her personal life seemed just as perfect.
I like the fact that it's about two people who really care about each other.
Yeah. And my lips were all bruised from the kiss.
She married Evans in 1969, and by 1971, they had a son, Joshua. With fame, family, and fortune, she appeared to be living a flawless Hollywood dream. But in Hollywood, perfection never lasts, and Ali was about to meet the man who would change everything, Steve McQueen.
Hi, Doc.
Hi.
The getaway and dangerous chemistry. By 1972, Ali MacGraw had everything: fame, success, and a marriage to Robert Evans, one of Hollywood's most powerful men. But then came the getaway.
Hey, dummy.
How you doing, Slim?
Evans secured the role for Ali opposite Steve McQueen, not realizing it would alter all their lives.
See, while making the getaway, MacGraw fell in love with her co-star and left her husband for a man who basically didn't want her to work.
From the moment filming began in Texas, the chemistry between Ali and McQueen was undeniable. She later admitted she sensed trouble before the cameras even rolled. McQueen wasn't just a co-star, he was a force. Magnetic, rebellious, and dangerously charismatic, he drew people in without effort. For Ali, resisting him was impossible. Their affair began quickly, and soon it was the talk of Hollywood. The scandal shocked Evans, who had helped create her stardom, and by the end of 1972, Ali filed for divorce. Just a year later, she and McQueen were married. To the public, it looked like a fairy tale. But behind the glamour was a reality that would test Ali in ways she could never have imagined. Marriage to McQueen, control and sacrifice.
Give up probably was when I married Steve McQueen, when indeed I did give up my career.
At first glance, Ali MacGraw's marriage to Steve McQueen looked like a dream.
How did it go?
Bad.
The two stars settled into a Malibu beach house, surrounded by sand, surf, and Hollywood glamour. To outsiders, they seemed like the perfect couple, hosting barbecues, taking long walks by the ocean, and living the life everyone else envied. But behind closed doors, the reality was far more complicated. McQueen carried deep scars from his childhood: abandonment, distrust, and a lifelong fear of being betrayed. Those insecurities quickly bled into their marriage. His jealousy was constant, flaring up over the smallest things. A glance at another man could set him off. And yet, paradoxically, McQueen himself openly flirted with other women, fueling rumors of affairs that Ali could never quite escape. One of the first sacrifices he demanded was her career. At the very height of her fame, Ali was told she had to give it all up. McQueen didn't want a working wife, not even one of the most in-demand actresses in Hollywood. Out of fear of losing him, she agreed. The woman who had once defined an era with Love Story suddenly walked away from the spotlight. In her memoir, she later admitted how far she bent to fit into his world. She played cook, cleaning lady, homemaker, all roles she never imagined for herself.
I'm not an extravagant liver. You know, I'm not stockpiling cars and diamonds and stuff like that.
Her life became about raising her son from her first marriage and catering to McQueen's moods. The isolation was suffocating. McQueen's substance abuse, heavy drinking, and drugs only deepened the cracks. Ali herself began leaning on alcohol, trying to cope with the pressure and loneliness. What had begun as a romance filled with fire and passion slowly turned into a cycle of suspicion, silence, and unspoken resentment.
Animals are maybe even better than the two-legged species.
To the world, they were still Hollywood's golden couple, but inside that Malibu home, Ali MacGraw was disappearing piece by piece into the shadow of Steve McQueen. Collapse of marriage. By the mid-1970s, the cracks in Ali MacGraw and Steve McQueen's marriage could no longer be hidden. On movie posters, McQueen was still Hollywood's ultimate tough guy, the fearless rebel who embodied freedom and danger. But at home, that image collapsed. His addictions tightened their grip, and nights of heavy drinking and drugs often ended with him volatile, withdrawn, or consumed by suspicion. For Ali, the loneliness became unbearable. She had already given up her independence, silenced her ambitions, and shaped her life around his demands. But in return, she found herself isolated, cut off from the career that once defined her, and haunted by constant rumors of McQueen's affairs. At first, she tried to deny it. She told herself the man she had fallen in love with, the magnetic, irresistible figure who had swept her away, was still there. But whispers of his flings spread too quickly, and soon the denial crumbled. Humiliation set in, followed by anger and despair. In her darkest moments, Ali turned more heavily to alcohol, and in her loneliness, she too began seeking comfort outside the marriage. What had once been a story of passion had now devolved into a cycle of betrayal and bitterness, each wound cutting deeper than the last. By 1977, she had reached her breaking point. She told McQueen she wanted to return to acting, not just to reclaim her career, but to reclaim herself. It was more than a professional decision. It was a declaration of independence. McQueen's response was brutal. According to biographers, he told her flatly, "In that case, we are filing for divorce." Those words shattered any illusion of partnership. They revealed, once and for all, that her choices had never truly mattered to him. Determined not to vanish into silence, Ali accepted a role in Sam Peckinpah's Convoy. It was the first real step back toward her own identity, but it came at a cost. The marriage, already fragile, collapsed completely. By 1978, after 5 years defined by jealousy, control, and sacrifice, the divorce was final. For Ali, it was both an ending and a beginning. She had lost the man she once believed was the love of her life, but she had also regained something she thought was gone forever: her voice. McQueen's decline and tragic end. By the late 1970s, the marriage was over, but the story between Ali MacGraw and Steve McQueen was far from finished. For all his swagger on screen, McQueen's private world was unraveling. To the public, he was still the king of cool, the man behind iconic films like Bullet and The Great Escape.
Straight ahead! Hang and rattle, folks!
The symbol of danger and freedom every man wanted to be. But behind the Hollywood facade, his addictions were tightening their grip. Nights of partying, heavy drinking, and drugs left him unpredictable and volatile. Friends whispered about his self-destruction, but few dared confront him. For Ali, who had already endured years of his jealousy and control, the collapse was painful to watch, even from a distance. She had once built her world around him, given up everything for him, and now she was watching the same demons consume the man she couldn't fully let go of. By 1980, the final blow came. McQueen was diagnosed with pleural mesothelioma, a rare and aggressive cancer linked to asbestos exposure. The news shocked Hollywood. How could the man who had lived life at full throttle, the indestructible anti-hero, suddenly be brought down by something so invisible, so cruel? He was only 50 years old when he died later that year. His death devastated fans around the world, but for Ali, the grief was complicated. She had loved him deeply, but she had also suffered profoundly in their time together. In one heartbreaking reflection, she admitted, "I wish we had both grown old sober." Those words carried all the weight of regret. Regret for the love that had burned too fiercely. Regret for the years lost to jealousy and addiction, and regret for the life they might have shared if things had been different. For Ali MacGraw, Steve McQueen's death was not just the loss of a former husband. It was the end of a chapter that had shaped her life, her choices, and her scars forever. Life after Steve, addiction and recovery. When Steve McQueen died in 1980, Ali MacGraw was only 41. Their marriage had ended, but his death still left her shaken, like losing a part of herself she could never fully reclaim. But grief wasn't her only battle. Ali had long relied on alcohol to cope with loneliness and disappointment, and after McQueen's passing, her drinking grew heavier. Her once bright career dimmed too. Roles in Convoy and Dynasty kept her visible, but the magic of Love Story had faded. Hollywood had moved on. By the early 1990s, the weight became unbearable. Ali entered the Betty Ford Center, where she confronted not only her drinking, but the scars of her childhood, her broken marriages, and the cost of fame. Recovery gave her back what she thought she had lost forever: clarity, strength, and the chance to start again. In 1991, she published Moving Pictures, a raw memoir that laid everything bare. It became a bestseller, resonating with readers who saw in her story not a fallen star, but a survivor. Reinvention and legacy. By the 1990s, Ali MacGraw had walked away from Hollywood for good. She moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, trading film sets for a quieter life filled with yoga, meditation, and recovery. Sobriety became her foundation. Over 30 years free from alcohol, a milestone she once thought impossible. She poured her energy into new passions, including fashion collaborations that supported female artisans worldwide, and in 2016 reunited with Ryan O'Neal for the stage play Love Letters, rekindling the chemistry audiences never forgot. Now, at 85, Ali speaks openly about her past, acknowledging both the love and the chaos of her years with Steve McQueen. She doesn't romanticize the pain, but she doesn't deny it either. Instead, she lives as a survivor, proof that even the most glamorous love stories can leave scars, and that healing is possible long after the spotlight fades. Beyond the spotlight, Ali MacGraw's story is one of contrasts: Hollywood glamour paired with private pain, meteoric fame shadowed by sacrifice, and a love that burned so brightly it nearly consumed her. She was America's sweetheart, yet behind the camera, she endured turmoil few ever saw. Her years with Steve McQueen remain unforgettable, not just for their passion, but for the control, jealousy, and heartbreak that came with it. And yet, Ali's journey didn't end there. She rebuilt herself through recovery, honesty, and the courage to live life on her own terms. Today, she is no longer just Jenny from Love Story. She is a survivor who faced chaos, addiction, and loss, and still found the strength to create peace for herself. Her story reminds us that even the most beautiful romances can hide unbearable struggles. And sometimes the real triumph isn't in the spotlight at all. It's in finding the courage to finally tell the truth. But what do you think? Was Ali MacGraw brave to reveal the darker side of her past after all these years? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective.